Thank you for joining me for the ROTC session. My name is Billy Clayton. I'm the Scholarships Enrollment Officer for Western Michigan University's Army ROTC program. Um, we're going to go through a real quick presentation. It's going to tell you a little bit about the program. We'll talk a little bit about scholarships and scholarship opportunities. Then I'll leave the rest of the session open for questions. All right. So the whole purpose of a Army ROTC or of a college ROTC program is to make an Army officer. You start with the intention of once you finish the program and you graduate with your bachelor's degree, you will commission into the Army as an Army officer. The one big benefit about an ROTC program is that you have to have a bachelor's degree in order to be an Army officer. So that's why you'll see these ROTC programs at different colleges throughout the country, because all you do is you just take one class in addition to whatever you plan to major in, and we don't tell you what to major in. You get to choose what you want to major in. So whatever you decide to major in, you just take one additional ROTC class a semester, and when you graduate, you commission into the Army as an Army officer. So why ROTC? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I joined the Army back in 1993. You guys weren't even born. So I started as an enlisted person. So I came in as a private. I went down to the corner, talked to my local recruiter. They got me into the military. Took my very first college class when I was in the Army in 1994. I finished my bachelor's degree in 2011. That's how long it took me to do a 4-year degree, because the Army just gets in the way. Whether it's moving from duty station to duty station, being deployed, I had a family, just everything happened, and education just was not the priority. That's different with ROTC, because we need you to have a bachelor's degree in order to be an Army officer. So we're actually going to put education first, service second. So we're going to provide you with the skills that you need to be an Army officer. The Department of the Army said, in order to be an Army officer, there is this list of things you need to know. So the same things, same officer items that we are teaching you here at Western's ROTC program are the same officer items they are teaching their cadets at West Point. The only difference is that while you're in an ROTC program at a college, you actually get to have a typical college life, because we are just one additional class you take in addition to whatever else that you want to do at Western. So if you wanted to be in a fraternity or a sorority, or if there is the Pokemon Go League group club or the I Like Purple Frogs club, you can be a member of the Purple Frogs club. That's fine. We won't tell you what you can and can't do while you're in college. So there's the Army, Navy, and Air Force for ROTC programs. If you wanted to be an officer in the Marines, you have to go through a Navy ROTC program. The Army is the only one that will allow you to compete for active duty or commission directly into the National Guard or the Army Reserve. Here's some reasons why you might want to consider that. Let's say you don't get an Army ROTC scholarship. So instead of getting a scholarship, you can actually serve in the National Guard or the Army Reserves and use those education benefits to help you pay for school. Let's say that you actually come to Western, you have a really great internship one summer, you go to that company and that company is like, hey, we want to hire you. And you're like, you know what? I want to work for you. ROTC is not going to stop you from doing that. You can actually do Army part-time by commissioning into the National Guard and the Army Reserve, and then your civilian job can be whatever it is that you want it to be. So there's options out there for you with an Army ROTC program. You can try ROTC without zero commitment. This is one of the best benefits, I think, of an ROTC program. If you're even considering whether the military is something for you, try us out your first semester of your freshman year. If you don't like the class, just don't sign up for the next semester. It's that simple. There's no commitment until you reach your junior year. So you can do ROTC for 2 years without any commitment. Now, we'll talk a little bit later about what comes with making that commitment, but understand you are in control of this whole process. You decide when you want to join, and if you don't want to join, you just don't sign up for the next semester. There is no basic training requirement to be an Army officer. We are your basic training. We will teach you your freshman year, or your first semester of your freshman year, is all the things that you would have learned if you would have went to basic training. So we're going to teach you about the Army values, drill and ceremony, the warrior ethos, the Army leadership model, time management, organizational skills, all those things that you would have learned if you would have went to basic training. Now, if you decided to go into the National Guard or the Army Reserve in order to use those education benefits to help you pay for school, they're going to require you to go to basic training. But to be an Army officer, you do not need basic training. So I want to cover the commitment that you're going to have while you're in school, and then we'll cover your commitment that you'll have when you graduate the ROTC department, the ROTC program, and commission into the Army as an Army officer. All right, physical training, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning. You'll have class and lab once a week. Your class as a freshman is a one credit hour class, and then your lab is a 2-hour lab. And everybody does lab together. From freshman to senior, all the ROTC cadets does the lab together. You'll have one field training exercise a semester. And a field training exercise is where we take our leadership labs, kind of pump them full of steroids and throw them out in the woods somewhere. So for an example, on campus during a leadership lab, we will teach you how to read a map. We'll show you how to use a compass. Out at the FTX, at the field training exercise, you'll actually conduct the land navigation course. On campus, we'll show you how to assemble and disassemble a weapon, talk about trigger squeeze, sight picture, steady aim, weapon fundamentals. But out of field training exercise, you'll actually conduct the rifle range. Those are the differences. And you'll have that field training exercise once a semester. Advanced camp is your ROTC capstone. It's down in Fort Knox, Kentucky. We pay for you to go down there, and we pay you while you're there. But you have to do that between your junior and senior year of college. So your mandatories: PT 3 days a week, class and lab 1 day a week, one field training exercise a semester between your junior and senior year advanced camp. Those are the mandatories. Anything else you do outside of that is voluntary. And we'll talk about some of those voluntary opportunities. If you are studying a foreign language, we have a study abroad program that will actually pay for you to go study abroad. If you, we are able to send you to things like airborne school, air assault school. We have sent people to combat, to be a combat diver. We've sent people to West Point to train with them for the summer. We've sent people to a place called Robin Sage, which is where they get to help train with special forces for the summer. There are a lot of opportunities out there if this is something that you're looking at. The only limit to the opportunities is where you place yourself within your peers. We also have clubs. So RSO stands for Registered Student Organization. There's over 250 on campus. You can pretty much find a club for anything you want to do. And honestly, if there's something you want to do that you can't find a club for, if you can find 3 more people that'll join that club with you, you can make your own club. But in ROTC, we have a run club that does the Army 10 miler every year. We have a ruck club that does the Baton Death March every year. We have a Ranger Challenge team that goes down to Fort Knox to compete with 36 other ROTC battalions to see who's the best at tactics. We have a color guard, a cannon crew, a rifle team. We have just about anything that you want to get into, depending on how dirty you want to get. But all those things are voluntary. You can do as much extra or as little extra as you want, as long as you hit all those mandatories. And that's what your commitment's going to look like while you're in school. So with the mandatories, that's in addition to whatever you're pursuing for your bachelor's degree, whether that's a criminal justice degree, all the way up to you want to be a nurse. All that stuff, regardless of your degree, you have to do. This is the mandatory ROTC stuff. All right, commitment as an officer. No matter if you are in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, whether you're active duty, National Guard, or a reservist, your initial contract is an 8-year commitment. How much of that 8 years you do with your uniform on will depend on your path. So let's say you go active duty. If you go active duty, you have to do 4 years once you graduate college as an active duty Army officer. For the additional 4 years, you have 4 options. You can stay active duty, you can go into the National Guard, you can go into the Army Reserve, or you can do something called the Inactive Ready Reserve, which means you take the uniform off, you don't report to the Army, we don't mess with you, we don't pay you, but if something was to happen and we call you, you have to come back. And the last time we actually did that was for 9/11, so it has to be something very significant. If you're in the Guard or the Reserve, it's 6 and 2. So 6 years active in the Guard or the Reserve, and then 2 years in the Inactive Ready Reserve. And that 6 years active is at that 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year that you hear about on the TV commercials. So that's your commitment. It's an 8-year commitment. If you decide to take a scholarship, an ROTC scholarship with the National Guard or the Army Reserve, it's no longer 6 and 2. You'll do all 8 years after you graduate with the reserves because of the scholarship. Contracting is when we can turn on any pay and benefits that comes with being a member of the ROTC department. The earliest that you can contract without a scholarship would be the first semester of your sophomore year. So you actually have your whole freshman year to figure out if this is something that you want to do. At the end of your freshman year, if you still have questions, just don't contract your sophomore year. Try us out for another semester and see if it's something that you want. You just have to contract by December of the first semester of your junior year. You have to contract by that time. If you don't want to contract by that time, we will ask you. We will not let you continue in the program. You won't be able to sign up for the next class because by regulation, in order to be in the advanced course, which is the junior and senior portion of ROTC, you have to be a contracted cadet. If you win a scholarship, no matter where in your college path you win a scholarship, you have to contract the first semester that scholarship is about to start. So if you compete for one of the high school scholarships and you get a 4-year ROTC scholarship, you will contract the first semester of your freshman year. Now here's the thing, contracting the first semester of your freshman year without actually giving an opportunity to try us out is a lot to ask somebody. So what we actually do is there's a clause in your contract that allows you to try us for a year. And we'll pay for your freshman year. If at the end of your freshman year you realize that ROTC is not for you, there's a single piece of paper that you sign. If you've done your part and attended classes and did what you were supposed to do as a freshman, we will do our part and pay your freshman year. We won't ask for that money back. We just won't pay for anything else. You'll lose the additional 3 years of your scholarship. You'll go and continue in whatever major you're taking at Western and continue on in a happy life. So regardless of how you get your scholarship, you still have that try us out period. So I wanted to make sure you know that, just so you had a little bit more, so you're a little bit more comfortable about the whole process. So that kind of leads me to the scholarship section. So there are several ways to get an ROTC scholarship, and there are 3 ROTC scholarships. There's one that's linked to give you the opportunity to compete for active duty. There's one that commits you to the National Guard. There's one that commits you to the Army Reserves. No matter which one of those 3 you go after, they all pay the same thing, 100% of tuition and fees. We provide you a $420 a month living stipend, call it ROTC pay, and then you get $1,200 a year for books, and that will be $600 in the fall and $600 in the spring. The tuition goes straight to the school, so you'll never have to worry about paying your bill. The stipend and the the monthly stipend and the books money goes directly to you, and you can spend that however you want. Right now, if you're about to start your senior year of high school, the scholarship window is open. So it's an online application. You conduct your application. Once the application is finished, you have to upload your transcript and your test scores. And I know you probably have not taken your SAT or ACT yet because of the pandemic. So they're looking at postponing some of the due dates, hoping that you guys will be able to get into some of the September testing sessions. Because there's a bunch of sessions that are still scheduled to go in September. So if they can get that figured out and you guys can get in to take some tests in September, then you can use those results for the scholarship. You've completed the application, uploaded your transcript, uploaded your college entry test scores, whether it's an ACT or an SAT, then that makes you what's called interview ready. You have to conduct an interview with an ROTC department. Depending on whoever your closest ROTC department is. If we're your closest, you're more than welcome to come up with us. If we're close enough, I recommend coming to us because it would be beneficial for you to get your interview done at the ROTC department that is your number one choice. When you're doing the scholarship application, you can put up to 7 different schools. And typically when if you are to receive an ROTC scholarship award, typically it'll be to a couple different schools. So go out there and go wild, and put down as many schools as you want, regardless of how many schools you put down or what schools you put down. If you feel comfortable with me helping you with your scholarship application and throughout the scholarship process, I will be more than happy to help you, regardless if Western is your number one choice or not. The cool thing about this scholarship is it doesn't care where you go to school as long as I have an ROTC department. So Western might be one of the schools you're thinking of, and we hope you come here. But if there's another school that you might be thinking of that is a little more expensive, the ROTC scholarship can help with that as well. I will tell you that there are some benefits coming to the ROTC program at Western. We're highly ranked within our peer group. We have a very good, especially if you're looking for an active duty, we are very good with helping you get the job that you want in the active duty realm. We have a very active National Guard and Army Reserve presence here. And they're very proficient with providing National Guard and Army Reserve ROTC scholarships. So there's really not a pathway for you to go wrong by coming to Western and doing the ROTC program here. Let's say you don't win the high school scholarship option. That's fine. Your scholarship window is not closed. You have other opportunities, and those are called campus-based scholarships. So if you're not able to get the 4-year scholarship from the National Scholarship Board, then we would actually look at campus-based scholarships that would start the first semester of your sophomore year. And the way that works is that you sign up for us in your freshman year in the fall. Try us out. If you like us, sign up again for the next semester. That spring semester, I'm going to come in front of all the incoming freshmen and say, hey, scholarship season is open. Who wants to put in for an ROTC scholarship? If you self-identify and do your part in putting together, giving me all the paperwork I need for the packet, we will submit your scholarship. And once we submit it, if it's approved by our higher headquarters, you'll have a scholarship that'll start in the fall of the first semester of your sophomore year, and it'll pay for the next 3 years. If you decide to take a National Guard or an Army Reserve scholarship, then it will lock you in to the National Guard or the Army Reserve. That's what you will go into when you graduate. They will not be able to pull you to active duty, and you will not be able to compete for active duty. So those are, and I know this is a lot of information at one time, but my job is to tell this to you as many times and in as many fashions as you need in order to make a good informed decision. So if you have an opportunity, do a quick screenshot or take a picture of this. This is my email and my office number. My office number right now is actually forwarded to my cell phone because of the whole pandemic business. This is the best way to get a hold of me is email. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the scholarship thing. Western has a couple benefits for individuals that are on an ROTC scholarship. First thing they have something called the ROTC First Scholarship. So the high school scholarship, as well as the National Guard and the Army Reserve Minuteman scholarships, can give you either a 4-year scholarship or a 3-year scholarship. And that 3-year, if they give you a 3-year scholarship, that means you're paying your freshman year, and then the Army pays the last 3 years. If you get one of the 3-year scholarships from either the National Scholarship Board or the National Guard or the Army Reserve Minuteman scholarships, the ROTC First Scholarship will pay your first year's tuition. So Western will front the first year of your tuition, and then the Army will pay for the last 3. So your 3-year scholarship is actually a 4-year here at Western. They also have something called the ROTC Housing Grant. So if you decide to live on campus in Western housing and you're on scholarship, the Western will provide you with $3,000 that goes toward housing. So you'll get $1,500 in the fall and $1,500 in the spring that will go towards housing. You'll also receive priority registration, allowing you to sign up early. And as a freshman, when it's time to move in the beginning of your freshman year, you actually get to you get priority housing. I mean, you get a priority move in or early move in, and you get to move in before everybody else does. So you don't have to deal with all the hustle that has to happen on that first day of move-in. So what I'm going to do is I'll continue and talk a little bit about what the ROTC, how the training is kind of set up. So as a freshman, we kind of see you as a follower, because we need to know how well you can follow, because you can't be a good leader unless you're a good follower. After that, as a sophomore, you're a team leader. So you could be responsible for a couple of freshmen just to make sure they're doing the right things, they're in the right place, right time, right uniform, all that good stuff. As a junior, you're the NCOs, or the non-commissioned officers of the battalion. And you'll rotate through different leadership positions, anywhere from a squad leader, where you'll be in charge of about 7 to 8 people, up to a company first sergeant, where you could be in charge of 50 people. How you lead or how you interact with 50 is going to be a little different than how you interact with 8. You're going to have an opportunity to do that in a very monitored environment. So if you do make a mistake, it's not a big deal. It's a teachable moment. We make the corrections. You get back in, you try it again the next day. Then you go to advanced camp, and when you come back, you're a senior. As a senior, you are providing the plans and the resources to give to the juniors, who teach the leadership labs to the freshmen and the sophomores. And you'll see that as you come through. So a question was asked, is there scholarships if you plan to do the Air Force? Yes, the Air Force ROTC program has the same process. It's just, you have to go, but you just have to go through their ROTC program. For Western, you'll actually have to reach out to the Michigan State Air Force ROTC program. They're the ones that run the detachment at Western. And kind of how that works is that you'll do your morning PT at Western, but once a week, you'll have to go to Michigan State for your ROTC class. And that's going to be a bus provided by Western, but you don't get to come back until everybody's done, including the seniors who have a 3-hour class. So you're going to go up there for a 2-hour lab and a 1-hour class, but the juniors and seniors are going up there for a 2-hour lab and a 3-hour class. And none of you guys can come back until everybody's done. So I'm not trying to sway you one way or another. I'm just letting you know so you can make good informed decisions. If your whole intention is to fly, you can fly in the Army too. I'm just saying. All right, so I hope you were able to get my information. If you want any more, if you need to find out how to get to the high school scholarship for ROTC, it's very simple. You just Google Army ROTC high school scholarship. It'll take you to the website. You make a quick, account, and off you go. Anywhere during the scholarship process, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. For the scholarship, they were looking for 3 things. It's called Scholar, Athlete, and Leader. So for Scholar, how successful have you been in high school academically? And they're going to take your grades at the end of your junior year of college. So what was your GPA? Did you take any honors courses? Were you in the National Honor Society? IB, AP, all that stuff, all that business counts. SAT, ACT scores. How successful were you? That's the scholar part. Then they're going to go to the athlete. Did you play sports? How many sports did you play? As long as it was a competitive sport, no matter what the sport was, it will count. If you were in a competitive bowling league, a competitive ping pong team, whatever that looks like, all that stuff counts, whether it was in school or in the community, all that stuff counts. And then you're going to do what's called the presidential fitness. You're going to do a physical fitness assessment, 1 minute of push-ups, 1 minute of curl-ups, and a 1 mile run. And that can be administered by anybody at your school. If you can't find somebody and we're close enough, we'll be more than happy to administer that test for you. And then leader, were you part of any groups? Were you in student government? Were you in any of the groups or organizations you were a member of? Were you in a leadership position? Were you a team captain? Were you a section leader in band? Anything that you can think of. Did you have a part-time job? Did you have a full-time job? Did you volunteer? All that stuff goes into the leadership portion. Do not sell yourself short in the leadership portion. Put as many things down as possible that you can think of, put them down. Because what you don't want to do is sell yourself short by leaving out something that you don't think will count. Let somebody else on our side determine if it doesn't count or not. Put as much stuff down as possible. Everything gives you points. And so they'll look at scholar, athlete, and leader, and then they'll determine from that whether or not you get a scholarship. It's a point system, so the higher your scores, the better your points. But if nobody has any questions, that ends my presentation. Again, you have my email and my phone number. If you have any questions at all, please reach out. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. If you would like a separate private Zoom session set up for yourself, or if your parents want to get in on this as well, if they're part of the decision-making process and they want to have some questions as well, I'm more than happy to set up those meetings with you. That's not an issue. So I enjoyed, thank you all for coming. Thank you for staying. And I hope to get to see you guys in the future. Broncos lead the way.